Welcome to Chalk Talk, your source for Buckeye Athletic news, updates, and analysis. I'm Maddie Spielman alongside Andrew Todd Smith, and we have some recent baseball and men's volleyball action to break down for you here on the show today. So let's get right into it. The men's baseball team actually hosted the University of Nevada Las Vegas Rebels this past weekend for a 3-game series. Buckeyes had a 5-game winning streak going into Friday's contest and had won 8 straight at home. The Buckeyes started off the weekend with a bang, managing to overcome the odds and get a come-from-behind 6-5 victory to open the series. Andrew, how were they able to do this?
Well, Maddie, strong relief pitching was the key in that game. Tanner Tully, he was a starter. He struggled a little bit early on after his 5 innings pitched, 10 hits given up, and he gave up all 5 of the UNLV runs. Then you have reliever Adam Niemeyer come in and pitch well into the 8th inning, shuts him out. So between Niemeyer, Jake Post, Michael Horatian, the closer, outstanding pitcher Trace Dempsey, they collectively, the bullpen only allows 1 walk and no runs. So that was really them stepping up defensively, and obviously getting some infield support was a big reason they were able to put them away. Right.
So you just mentioned the Buckeyes defense. Let's kind of switch gears to the other side of the ball. How'd the offense perform in that game?
Yeah, it's a great question because they had clutch hitting. The Buckeyes got 5 of their 8 hits in the 6th inning or later. So, I mean, that's what you'd love to see if you're Coach Greg Beals. Right. So Ohio State, they tied the ball game in the bottom of the 7th. Now, granted, credit where it's due, both positive and negative. UNLV kind of helped them out a little bit. 2 walks by the relief staff and a fielding error by the Rebels. So that allows Ohio State to get back into it. Bottom of the 9th, so exciting. Center fielder and leadoff man Troy Montgomery doubles to deep center. And then Pat Porter, another strong hitter in this Buckeye lineup, he's intentionally walked. And then Troy Kuhn, hero of the day, singles to left field, walk-off RBI, crowd goes nuts, and Buckeyes emerge victorious, as you said, 6-5.
So they win a walk-off on Friday, but how did the rest of the series go for them over the weekend?
Not very well. Yeah, they in that game, it was sort of a microcosm of maybe what we would see later on in the weekend. Both teams trading fielding errors back and forth, stranding runners on base. Right. It was not clean, disciplined baseball. Right. So the Rebels left 10 runners on base Friday, and they had 3 errors committed, which, again, we talked about allowing Ohio State to get back into it. But Ohio State, interesting sort of statistical footnote there, anytime they commit fewer errors, they end up winning the ball game. Makes
sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's just sort of like football. If you take care of the ball and you don't turn it over, you tend to have an easier go of things. But as I said, OSU commits 1 error to UNLV's none on Saturday. They lose the ball game. They also lose Troy Kuhn to injury, who rolled his ankle in that game, so he wouldn't be in the lineup for Sunday's game, where they committed 2 errors and stranded 10. They lose 7-4 despite having a pretty strong 8th inning, rallying to get 2 more runs. It was too little too late for the Buckeyes. So they do lose the series 2-1. And what was kind of an interesting segue into what we want to talk about next, Coach Beals, after that game on Sunday, had some comments about not only that series, but how they were going to be able to take positive things from those losses and translate it into success against Louisville next week.
I don't think there's anybody in that locker room across the way that didn't see Louisville on our schedule knew this is a great opportunity for us to show where we are and show that we're ready to play at the national level, and we're going to get that throughout the rest of our season coming up for the most part. We got some great weekends ahead of us in conference play, and I told the guys out in the outfield, we got a great opportunity. The analogy I use is that you got to be willing to get into a fight, and when you're in a fight, you got to be willing to get hit every now and then, and how you're going to play after you get punched is going to be a key to see how we respond.
So like you heard there from Coach Beals, the Buckeyes played 5th-ranked Louisville this past Tuesday. The Cardinals came into Bill Davis Stadium with a 27-8 record, but in a low-scoring game, the home team was able to get the 2-0 win. So without injured Troy Kuhn, like you had mentioned, and pretty much who has been a star standout this season, how did Ohio State do without him in securing this signature victory over Louisville?
Yeah, no, that's it's a valid thing to bring up because Troy Kuhn had been such a good contributor. Right. That's a huge loss, but the Buckeyes did not miss a beat. Their bats were hot on Tuesday. It got 12 hits, and Louisville was on their 3rd pitcher by the middle of their half of the 5th inning. So the Cardinals were definitely struggling. We mentioned Troy Montgomery getting the double to set up the RBI on Friday. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI against Louisville. You had left fielder Ronnie Dawson also go 2 for 4. And you had DH Trey Gant. I like this guy because he's a versatile player, can pinch hit, pinch run, coming in as a designated hitter there on Tuesday. He goes 2 for 3 and gets a run. And then you have El Grant Davis, second baseman, goes 3 for 3. I mean, these guys, like I said, their bats were hot, and Louisville came into a little bit of a buzzsaw, and Buckeyes took them down 2-0.
Yeah, well, the Buckeyes head back to conference play this weekend at Nebraska. So wish them the best of luck. But moving indoors now to St. John Arena, the men's volleyball team took on IPFW on Saturday for senior night. All 5 seniors saw playing time in this match. Senior Michael Henschey led the team in kills with 14, but there were also major contributions by Nicholas Schertzen with 10 kills and 2 service aces, and Sean Heron with 5 block assists himself. The Buckeyes went on to win that match in 3 straight sets. So with the season coming to a close, what did you observe from Saturday's match and kind of what's coming up next for this men's volleyball team?
Sure, yeah. I mean, you mentioned some of the key contributors there Saturday night, taking down the Mastodons of Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. But IPFW, no slouch. They're 4th in the MIVA. Ohio State's 3rd. Who do they get to play next? The 2nd and 1st teams. So harkening back right around spring break time frame, March 13th and 14th was when they hosted Lewis and Loyola here at St. John Arena in Columbus, when they were 2nd and top ranked respectively. Now, Lewis is still number 2 in the country. Loyola's taken a couple defeats, and they've dropped down to number 5, so clearly they're terrible now. But yeah, Ohio State, they need their seniors. You mentioned Henschey and Heron are going to need to step up big. Miles Johnson, it's important to mention here, he and Henschey have switched positions since right around when they last played those teams. Of course, 3-2 thrilling victory over Lewis here at home, and a 3-0 sweep defeat to Loyola. So we got some comments from both Henschey and Coach Pete Hansen about what they were able to do against IPFW. It's in the rearview mirror, but more importantly, looking forward to the matchups against Lewis and Loyola this weekend.
Man, it's going to be a tough weekend for us, definitely. It was tough when they came here and we're in our own gym, so I expect 2 really physical matches. I think the difference will be who can keep the other team out of system with their serving, with their attacking pressure. And I think we're a better all-around team than we were when we faced them about a month ago.
Well, I think they're going to be 2 great matches. You know, I still think there's some things to play for. It might not change the standings per se, but I think for us it's, hey, we've got to prove to ourselves that we can go into Chicago and beat either one or both of those teams. That hasn't happened in a while. You know, I think Loyola's dealing with some nagging injuries and some things with some of their guys, and you know, who's to say if they're going to play their guys or rest them and get them ready for the playoffs. I believe Lewis is pretty healthy right now, and they'll have all their guys playing, and so it's going to be a challenging weekend for sure. Serving and passing is the essence of the game, and I think if we do a nice job there, we're going to be fine. It's kind of funny. Those are the 2, you know, base components of the game of volleyball, and yet they get overlooked a lot, but they are clearly the most important skills. It's kind of like, you know, running and tackling in football. You got to be able to tackle guys, and you got to be able to kind of move the ball.
And we heard it there from Coach Hansen. Passing and serving are key if the Buckeyes want to get a victory next week against 2 very talented teams. And we thank him for kind of the segue football reference, because next week on the show, we'll be talking spring game. Definitely,
yeah. So we'll have the spring game, and then the sort of volleyball tie-in is they get to host a quarterfinal match because by merit of their standings in the MIVA. So we'll have that to look forward to, but the spring game will be the bulk of our coverage next week. But be sure to follow us on Twitter at ChalkTalkOSU, hashtag CTOSU. As always, chime into the conversation, give us a shout. But that is going to do it for us this week. For Maddie Spielman, I'm Andrew Todd Smith. Take care.